Welcome to the FY26 proposed operating budget. I'm Julie Giordano, your county executive. I just want to say I am thrilled to see so many of you in the room tonight. I really think I had the most well-attended legislative breakfast and budget session, so I think that's a great thing, and I'm so happy you all are here. The presentation is going to be a little different than what you're used to. So typically when we go through a presentation, it's 5 or 6 slides. We kind of tell you where we are as a county. But I know a lot of you are here. I see your stickers, and you're here to support education, and I think that that's a good thing. The biggest thing for tonight, though, is Pam Oland, our finance director, is going to go through the financial slides, which is not my forte, so I'm going to leave that up to her, and she's going to take you through that. And then I'm going to actually stand up. I'm going to actually get to be like the teacher that I used to be a couple years ago, and I'm going to take you through a second part of the presentation. I think it's really important because I know that there are a lot of you that want to stand up and speak. And I want to make sure that you have all of the information to be able to speak. And so that way you can kind of see the financial strains and concerns and celebrations that we have from this side of the table too. And we just want you to have all of that information. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Pam, and she's going to kick us off. So thank you all for being here. Oh, sorry. Oh, did you do that? Okay, I thought I hit it with my voice. Okay.
No, I did that one.
Yeah, I got a little wild, sorry.
So typically we start with a review of the most recent audit. We are still finalizing the audit. There is some accounting issues associated with some changing in presentation. So these are numbers that are unaudited, but the biggest change for you to be aware here is that in years past, local property tax has been our largest revenue source. That includes real property and personal property tax. That is no longer the case. Income tax is our largest revenue in the county, and the concerns of having that as being our largest revenue source is if there's any kind of recession or any kind of overall job losses, that can cause a problem in our revenue streams. So we have one item that is the largest revenue source for the whole county. So it was 37% to local property tax, which is both real property and personal property. So personal property is businesses, property associated with them running their business, and real property is what you get on your home assessment. For 24, the single largest source of expenses to the county is education. This education number for $58 million does include the Warwick, but it does not include the debt service that we have to pay for doing all the school construction. That's over in the $12.9 million number. So $58.5 million is what we spend on education in this county. We pay the largest share of Warwick's budget. It's a 3-county entity. Worcester County pays, we pay, and Somerset County does not have to pay. The state pays 100% of their share. So this is showing you over time what income tax versus real property tax has done. As you're aware, we have a revenue cap, and so that keeps that line very smooth. 2% for the most part, except it is limited if inflation is less than 2%, and it has happened since the year of COVID. Had a 1.6% increase was all we were allowed to raise our tax rate by. So our unaudited fiscal 24 number is we collected $77 million of income tax. That's great, as long as that doesn't dry up. This is showing since 2018 what we've had to do to our tax rate due to rising assessable base. Because of the revenue cap, we have had to lower our tax rate every year since 2018. We started at a 96 cent. We are down to 84 cents. If to the current estimate, it is still an estimate, but the current estimate for 2026 is we have to lower it another 4 cents to be able to stay within the revenue cap. So if we had been able to keep our revenue, our tax rate flat since 2018 and not lower it, in 2025, the county would have had $9 million additional in revenue that we would have been able to spend on schools and other needed services within this county. So each year that we decrease is a year that we have lost out on revenue that is not available to be recovered. Current market conditions require annual review of all of our salaries as well to maintain a well-qualified workforce. We are still in the process of implementing a water and sewer plan, and as being an entity near the coast, we have stormwater management and flooding issues that we also need to always be looking at and addressing. For 2026, this is kind of small up on the screen, but basically the state has significant budget issues if you have seen anything in the news. And as such, they've identified several areas that they're saying, well, we're no longer going to pay for that. You, the county, are now going to pay for that. The biggest one is the pensions for the teachers. They are saying approximately $3 million that is now going to be county expenditure. Versus, just so you have an idea, our 2% revenue increase, $1.6 million. The state's going to give us $3 million of additional expenses at a minimum this next year on items that we have never had to deal with before. We also have inflationary impacts on all of our expenses. We have to maintain a salary structure that supports and retaining and recruiting additional staff. And as we discussed during the CIP process, we are continuing the construction of the Fruitland primary construction, but that does mean that we will have to forward fund the state share because the state does not have the money to keep that project on task. And if we want to keep it on task, the estimates range from $20 to $27 million that we will have to come up with that is not ours. And if one way we're currently looking at that is to borrow those funds, but the state will only pay us back the principal, they will not pay us back the interest. So every dollar that we borrow will have to be, the interest costs will be borne by our county residents. We're also renovating the old Verizon building to update it for the new health department facility. And we have wetland mitigation to allow dredging spoils to be placed at the county facility. Every year, we dredge about a third of the Wicomico River. We are the second largest port in the state. And to keep that port operational, that river has to be dredged on a 3-year cycle. Well, we are required as a county to put those spoils somewhere for that dredging. And to do that, it costs money to have land. It costs money to make sure that we're meeting all MD requirements associated with those dredged spoils. On the non-capital side of things, we have fuel, utility, and rising costs like every other person in this room. Corrections continues to receive additional mandates from the state as to what we have to do to maintain the health of the inmates that we have. And so that number continues to grow. We have to, as I stated before, we have to look at salary and benefits, and we are mandated. We are on the second year of a CBA contract with our sheriff's department. And in that contract, there are raises to them. So at a minimum, we have to give those raises because we are under contract for that. And we are a self-insured entity for our health insurance costs. So as people use it, we have to pay for it. Right now, we have not received our overall estimate, but preliminary indications are possibly a double-digit increase to health insurance costs. So this slide shows the breakout of just the Board of Education costs associated with education in that $58 million. This does include the principal and interest. That is the yellow and blue. And then the green is MOE. And in the last 3 years, we've either done one-time expenditures above MOE or one-time expenditures and above MOE to the Board of Education. So that has all happened in the last 3 years for those, for that number.
All right, I'm going to turn it over. All right.
You're up.
One thing I wanted to say too, and that way towards the end of this, we can go right into any comments or questions. I just wanted to remind it, we have a very large group here. We want to hear from everybody. Your comment, I am going to have a timer set, so you will have 3 minutes, and we only ask that you come up to the podium one time. So just wanted to remind everybody of that. All right, so just to break down education a little bit further, and I'm going to kind of stand up and walk around and make it a little bit more lively of a presentation because Pam had all kinds of good news for everybody. So, but as we move forward, I wanted you to take a look at this slide. So this is a slide that is actually telling you what the total amount per pupil cost is. So I think that there was a chart kind of going around that we were the lowest in the state and that sort of thing, and that is actually really not true at all. So if you look, Tom, just follow me around. Just follow me around. If you take a look at this chart right now, so the state funding for each pupil, if you look at the percentage, they fund about 80.6%. We as the county fund 19.4%. Okay, so just so you see it in a percentage, I wanted you to see that. As you see, we are listed as number 15. So if you look at the total, but actually I don't think that's on here. Hold on a second, let me go to this one. Here we go. Okay, so per pupil, so the state gives us $15,186 per student, and the county share is $3,652, so that is a total of $18,839 per pupil. So we are ranked actually 15th in the state out of 24 jurisdictions. So we're right there in the middle, which I think, in all honesty, is good. We're a low-wealth county. We have a revenue cap, so there's lots of things that are tying our hands for education. But I wanted you to have that total, for you to see exactly what the state is giving us and then what we are giving. Now, could we do better? Of course we could do better. We understand that. But how did we get here to this number? And so I wanted to look at this. So this chart, this basically shows what the MOE and one-time expense was in 2010 versus the 2025 budget. And what I've seen out on Facebook is focusing on this chart here, this side. Right? And so what it shows, or what it appears to show, is that the county has decreased their funding to education, but that is not the case. The only thing that is decreased is the debt service. So we have paid off the bills. That means that we have, the funding that we took out to build schools and things like that, that debt service has come down. So that's the only reason that you see that decrease, that decrease. So in this slide, I'm not going to read this to you. This basically just says exactly what I just said, so I'm not going to reread that to you. All right. So since 2010, because that seems to be the number that is being, used out there, we have had a lot of changes. So the first thing in 2010 is that our roads division used to be an enterprise fund. And what that means is that it was self-sufficient, right? So highway user revenues paid for our entire roads department. We didn't have to pay anything. And then Martin O'Malley cut highway user revenue. So the Governor O'Malley cut highway user revenue from $7 million to less than $1 million, and we have never recovered from that. So just to give you an idea, in fiscal year 25, the general fund now had to spend over $11 million to pay for our roads, pay for our guys, pay for their health insurance, anything that we were doing in roads. We have also lost a couple other enterprise funds. So our Civic Center used to be an enterprise fund. They are no longer an enterprise fund, so the county has to absorb those costs. The airport also used to be an enterprise fund. It is no longer an enterprise fund. And so we now have to incur that cost. So it used to be able to pay for itself with ticket sales or whatever the case may be, flights out. It no longer does that because it really can't afford the capital, like the depreciation of it. So things have changed in the county. We also have collective bargaining, which Pam had mentioned. This is with our sheriff's office. And we also have a sanitary district. We have a water and sewer business that we're budgeting for. So we keep hearing that there has been this decrease in percentage. So the county budget used to be about, I think 50% of it used to be education, and now it's only 25%. But this is why. This is why, because we have had so many other things that have occurred since 2010. So is it right? That's up for you to decide, but these are facts. This is why it's happened. All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about was some numbers. So in 2010, maintenance of effort was right around $50 million, right? And then in 2011, MOE dropped to $43 million. And this was due to the recession. There was an approval from the state, and it was a decision made by the first county executive. It was a tough decision, but it had to be cut because of the recession. There was nothing else that he could do. And then in 2012, it dropped again to $36 million. Okay? And again, due to the recession, still kind of dealing with that. And since 2012, the last 3 county executives, Bob Culver, John Pasota, and myself, have worked to dig ourselves out of this hole, and we have increased education since 2012, $16 million. And that is a 45% increase. So to say that education has only been increased around 3% is a bit misleading to me, but both are true. If you look at it right at the 2010 number and our current number, it is 3%. But I think it's also important just to note that it dropped all the way down to 36 and we had to claw ourselves back out of it. All right, so the other thing I wanted to mention too are the capital costs, okay? So if you take a look at this graph, you'll see blue and pink. The blue is the percentage that we spend on the Board of Education for the new schools. Mardella, James M. Bennett, Bennett High, Beaver Run. Anyway, I could keep going, but they should be replaced. And I've had this conversation with the superintendent. We have 25, wait, how many schools? 22. Okay, yeah. And then every 3 years, if we do a new school, then we're up to 75 years again before the next one comes around. So I get it. And the other part, the pink part, is every other department. So the Board of Education makes up $122 million since I forget what, I think it's on the next slide, since 2010, $122 million. And for all other departments, excluding solid waste, we've spent $93 million, and that includes our brand new sheriff's office. All right, so just to keep going. Again, Pam talked about the budget challenges. We all know what they are, but these are very real numbers, okay? Teacher pensions, okay? I have a teacher pension, right? But $3 million is now being put on the county. We also used to get a grant to help us pay that, and that's being cut too. So you as county residents have to pay for teacher pensions, which is good, and I thank you for that. However, we don't even have the state pension system here in the county. So we have a completely different pension system, and we are paying for state pensions. It doesn't make it make sense. I don't know. But anyway, so we have to do that. We also now have some increase in the state assessment office, which is an expenditure of $418,000. Our total cost that's coming down to us is about $4 million. Okay, and of course, and Pam talked to you a little bit about Fruitland, so I'm not going to reread that. But just so you understand where our budget challenges are coming in. So there's also a couple rumors that have gone out, and I want to talk about those and address those. The first thing that has been said is that the county is somehow playing a shell game with money. Okay, the county is the most transparent person or entity with their money. Everything we do is online. Every single line item that we give is online. Okay, and anytime you have questions about anything that we are doing, please, let us know. And I think a lot of it has to come with because we apparently have this massive amount of money sitting in an account. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But the second is that the county staff is overpaid. I was told that last year. My county staff is overpaid, and it was outrageous that I, as the county executive, tried to increase my department head salary for the current fiscal year. I give the Board of Education credit because they value their people. And if you look at this slide, it shows you that the top person at the Board of Education, plus my equivalents, if you look, and their finance director, their total salaries are $688,000. The county executive, the director of administration, the assistant director of administration, and our finance, our total is $496,000. So to say that my staff is overpaid, and I'm not saying the board is overpaid, they value their employees. I tried to do the same thing. And then the last thing that I heard is that public safety is so overfunded. I wish Sheriff Lewis was here, because I think he would disagree. But there's a lot of reasons why public safety has gone up. I'm not going to read this entire slide to you, but you'll see where we've gone up. And State's Attorney, thank you for being here because you're a part of this slide as well. But the mandates that have come down, the rising crime rates, law enforcement needs, we need them in every one of our schools. There's things that have increased across this county, so public safety has to be funded. If we don't have, law and order, we have a lawless society, we have chaos, right? So, the biggest question we get asked, the county has a ton of money in their savings account. Why can't they just use that for education? Okay, here's the issue. Number one, you never want to dip into your savings account. Anybody who has a budget, you have a household budget, you don't want to dip into your savings account for your operating budget. MOE, maintenance of effort, what we pay the board, what we give the Department of Education, that's part of our operating costs. And we need to use revenues rather than savings because we'll deplete that really quickly. And it's really super important for our county in particular to have a very healthy fund balance. And I'll tell you why, and it has to do with our revenue cap. So as many of you know, my first year in office to my second year in office, we increased our bond rating, which helps us get great interest rates so we can continue doing capital projects like Fruitland Primary. One factor of that increased bond rating was our healthy county coffers. Okay, this is important to keep the account, the account healthy, especially because of the elephant in the room, the revenue cap. Okay, does everyone, in all honesty, raise your hand if you 100% understand the revenue cap? 100%. Okay, it's like 4 people. It's bad news. Okay, let me explain to you the revenue cap, right? So a lot of people think, I'm going to tell you what it's not first. A lot of people think that we have a tax cap. And a tax cap would be fine because what that means is that chart that Pam showed you, which I'm going to show you again a little bit later on, is that our tax rate would slowly increase, right? It can only go up a little bit because we have a tax cap, right? We can't raise it 24%, we can't raise it 10%, whatever that tax cap would be. A lot of people think that's what we have, but that's not what we have. We have a revenue cap. And what the revenue cap is that we can only take in a certain amount of revenue. Okay, and it makes it very difficult because we are consistently robbing Peter to pay Paul all the time. All the time. We have to spread things out and be very creative with our budgets. So there are some positives with the revenue cap, don't get me wrong. Okay, you have to be very thoughtful in what you're doing, and you should be, in this role specifically. But, there are some negatives that come with it too. It makes it very difficult because people, don't understand, well, why aren't you funding education? Why aren't you funding public safety? Why aren't you giving my employees raises? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And again, we are strained with this revenue cap. And I'm going to explain this a little bit more. So this is the slide that I showed you before, or that Pam showed you. So right now in 2018, our tax rate was 96 cents per thousand, and we are down to 84, and we're going to have to go down again to 80 because of the assessment. So assessments, you think would be a good thing, right? Well, they're not great for you because a lot of people got their assessments. They're like, what is going on? But for us, we can only raise that 2%. So it's a good thing because your tax rate is going down. But I don't think you demand any less service from us because your tax rate went down. Right? You still have the demands. You still want to see great things going on in our county. You want your roads paved. You want good schools. You want to be safe in the community. All of that takes funds. And right now, and I'm going to do a little bit of math, which I hate. No offense, but I taught English. But come on in. So here's a math problem for all of you. Okay? The Board of Ed, and I'm using you all as an example, is asking for MOE plus inflation plus an investment, which sounds reasonable, right? Their ask is $55 million. It's $4 million above what they're currently getting now. Now, some of that is MOE, so MOE is going to increase. We'd have to pay around 53, right? So that's what they're asking, an increase of $4 million. It's reasonable. It's reasonable to me. It is. However, due to the revenue cap, we will only be able to increase our property tax revenue this upcoming year, as Pam said, by $1.6 million. This does not include what I just talked about before, the $3 million that the state is now making the counties pay for teacher pensions, a pension system that the county is not a part of. So here's the math problem. We have $1.6 million increase from our second largest revenue source, and we need $7 million. Just for one department's mandate and ask, how do we do it? And can it be done? It's a big question. And I hate math. That's why I put that up there. So So these are the struggles that I have on a daily basis that we have. Is that we're trying to figure out, do we want to support education? Absolutely, I want to support education. I was a teacher. I've been there. I've been there where they only give you $250 for your taxes. I've spent $250 in the first month of teaching. So I get it. I get it. I couldn't imagine, having 29 6-year-olds. I couldn't imagine, I taught 17-year-olds. You can't even imagine having 29 6-year-olds. So I get it why they need it, but this is a real issue that I have right now, that we have. And so in this upcoming budget, we have 4 choices. And I've put the choices up here, and I'm going to be very for real with you. The first option, which let me put my glasses on because I'm going to do this, is that we fully fund the ask of the Board of Education at the tax rate and the anticipated and enforced by the revenue cap. So the tax rate that's anticipated and enforced by the revenue cap. So that's like what we've done. You know what I mean? If we give them the full ask of their $4 million and we have to lower that tax rate to 80 cents, all other departments, and that includes you, state's attorney, sorry, but all other departments will be defunded. Period. There's no other way to do it. They will be defunded to meet the Board of Education's ask, including the Sheriff's Office, including our fire departments, including our libraries, including our roads, and including rec and parks. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is that we fully fund the ask of the Board of Education by breaking the revenue cap for education. So wait, there's some good news. Wait, what do you mean we can break the revenue cap? So there is one thing that we can do when it comes to the revenue cap, and we can break it for education. Now, what does that mean? I actually have it more broken down for you, so just stick with me on this for this. But we could break the revenue cap for education. So when you got your new property tax bill, it will show the breakdown of what portion of the cost went to your property tax, and then right underneath it, it would have a line that said education. And you would see exactly that the money went to education. And then all other departments would be able to be appropriately funded. So that's option number 2. Now, when you break the revenue cap, though, your taxes will increase. Now, the big question is, by how much? I'm going to show you how much in just a sec. Option number 3, we could do what we have done the last 2 years. I can only talk about me in office, the last 2 years, where we take the available increased revenue, which is $1.6 million this year, and we designate a little bit to each department. We just spread it out across the departments. The council gets the budget, they can do their cuts, some cuts will be made, they'll want to allocate money, and as long as we're all in agreement, we're good. And that's what we've done the last 2 years. So that's another option, right? And then option 4 is that we adhere to our obligation with the Board of Ed by providing the department only MOE, which would be about $53 million. And then the same thing, the council gets the budget, they can make cuts, we'll allocate, we'll work together, on that. So these are our 4 options. And if you plan to come up and speak, I'm going to leave these options up here. I would love for you to say, I would like to see option 2 happen, or option 1, or option 3. If you don't have an answer yet, that's okay, because I've thrown a lot at you. Okay? But, so what does that mean? Jumping back to option 2, what does that mean for property taxes? Each penny that we raise, or that is raised on your property taxes, is about $800,000 for the county. So the Board of Ed, if you just take theirs, they're asking for $4 million, which would be about a 5-cent increase. So we would, right now, we're at 84, we would go up to 89 cents, okay? If you look, if your assessed value of your property is $250,000, I just picked a random number, okay? You divide that by 1,000, multiply it by 0.05, it's about $125, which is $10 a month on your property tax. If your house is around 125 on that end, it's about $5 per month. If you have $375,000, it's about $15 per month. For this presentation, I had to do a lot of math. I wasn't happy about it. So, but I wanted you to see, because people are like, well, what does that mean? When we break the revenue cap, are my taxes going to skyrocket? That's about what it'd be. So, you have to ask yourself, okay, I don't like being a person that wants to raise taxes. You have enough taxes that are getting ready to come at you from the state of Maryland. I don't want them coming at you at the county level. But you have to decide which is more important. Is it more important for you to have that $10 in your pocket? And it might be. Some people are on fixed incomes, I get it. Like, I understand, you have to budget. Or are you okay to give up $5, $10, $15 a month for education? So we have to figure out where that investment is and where you stand with that. Okay, this is not in your presentation, and this was because I got this today, later on by, this is from actually former Delegate Anderson. So this came out from the Department of Legislative Services. This is, and I can send this to anybody if you want to have this. We were taking some notes on it, but if things continue on, but the state of Maryland has estimated in 2030 that this is, looking at it. If you look at Wicomico County, the state is right around going to be about 18,983. They only have us estimated at giving about $4,009. Now, in doing that, looking at the total, that gives Wicomico, come on in, per pupil about 22,992. We are now ranked 8th out of the 24 jurisdictions. Now that's just, that's projected, that's, just an estimated thing. But I thought that was really interesting. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And then, so again, and I just wanted to put this up here without the yellow on it. So I'm going to leave these, I want to leave these options open because these are very real things that we are going to have to make a decision. And I keep saying we because you're a part of this. It's your tax dollars. It's what you want to see. And it's really easy for some people to sit here and say, well, I'm okay with $10 a month, but there are 103,000 people in this county. So we really have to think together as to how we are going to do this. I do not think what the board is asking is astronomical. I don't. If you just look at their ask, I think it's reasonable. But then I look at their ask and say, oh my gosh, I only got $1.6 million. How am I giving them 4? So the math doesn't math. Even I know that, and I didn't teach math. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys. Typically with the comments, it's just comments. It's not Q&A. If you have questions for me specifically, I hope I did an okay job at explaining kind of where we are at the county level. I know some people are shaking their heads. Yes, I know some people, it might be the first time that you've seen some of this data. It's a lot to throw at you. Just know that this is a huge puzzle. It's a little bit more trickier than just, just looking, it's a little trickier than just looking at one side of things and whatever. And it's not that the county doesn't want to support education. It's not that. It's that we have education, public safety, state's attorney, fire departments, rec and parks. We have a lot of different departments that are all in need. And so, it's like trying to work a puzzle together. So we're working really hard. We've had budget meetings all week. We have a long day tomorrow. So we're really hoping to adhere to a lot of these needs. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you. So I thank you. And if you have any questions for me afterwards, please let me know. Again, please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. And like I said, please only come up one time because we have a lot of people in the room. All right? Thank you so much.
We're okay to get started? Tom? Good. John Cannon, President of the Wicomico County Council. Good presentation. I had one question, though, as to a question and sort of asking for a clarification, because it states here that with the math problem that we only have $1.6 million increase from our second largest revenue source, and we need $7 million. But what this presentation seems to have left out is the $70 million that we have from income tax receipts and recordation taxes. So it's giving me the perception that we're only looking at using property taxes to solve our problem, and yet we have completely bypassed the income tax, which is larger than our property tax revenues. And I know that the income tax receipts, I believe, are supposed to be increasing this year as well, despite the economic conditions. So for the public's perception, I think it's important to let them know or make them aware of where that $70 million plays into the rest of the formula, including the Board of Education. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Wright and I live in Hebron. Over the past 20 plus years, I have served on the Greater Salisbury Committee, Salisbury Chamber of Commerce, and many other nonprofits. I am currently serving as a chair for the Wicomico County Education Foundation. I serve my community to make Wicomico County a better place to live, work, and stay. I believe I recall you stating during your campaign that you were sitting on the couch one night and made a decision to run for county executive to make a big change from teaching to become the county executive because you want Wicomico to do better. After being appointed by Governor Ehrlich in 2006, I served on the county school board for 6 years. I was charged with trying to help make our school systems better and provide the best educational experience for success for all students. It was and still is a challenge, and I believe that we can do great things by working together. A key piece is investing in education. You've heard me say numerous times that I would love for both of our government branches and the Board of Education to sit at the same table and develop a better operating budget process. Each year, this is stressful and frustrating. It's an effort that does create some divide. In recent months, GSC, Chamber of Commerce, and the Education Foundation, teachers and parents got together to form a Blue Ribbon Panel. As part of GSC's Project 2030 initiatives, this Blue Ribbon Panel has taken a comprehensive look at our current funding. While fully recognizing that funding for education is a political decision, our goal was to take a serious, nonpartisan look at the education funding needs, not only in the short term, but in the long term, and make a recommendation for the public and the elected officials to consider. As you know from attending one of our initial interest meetings, we would likely propose a long-term budget process that would take our current allocated budget baseline, maintenance of effort, inflation, and additional percentage each year as a basis. Over the past few days, information has been shared on social media showing how Wicomico County ranks spending compared to other counties. We are currently last, I will say last, in the state for local funding for cost per pupil, and 15th in the state when you include state and federal funding. You will likely hear tonight what these numbers mean and how they are being used. Keep in mind that a large percentage of the state and federal funds come from restrictions on how those monies can be spent, so that forces the Board of Ed to rely a great deal on local funds. The financial decisions made over the past 10 to 20 years have gotten us here, and you have inherited it, unfortunately. This effort is not to point fingers, but an effort to work together. We believe that you strive to make Wicomico better. We believe that our county council ran to make Wicomico better. We believe that Dr. Stauffer and his staff worked very hard to make Wicomico better. We hope that the effort of the Blue Ribbon Panel and our proposal for a new long-term budget process is considered and used this year and in the future. Let's all work together and do better Wicomico. And I would go with, of course, I want option A. But as a citizen of the county, I am willing to invest. I don't call it breaking the cap. I call it investing in education. So I will pay the extra to do that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Micah Stauffer, Wicomico County Public Schools Superintendent and Wicomico County resident. Good evening, County Executive Giordano. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to sincerely thank both the County Executive and the County Council for your commitment to funding our schools above the minimum required by law or maintenance of effort over the last 2 years. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed, and we deeply appreciate it. I also want to acknowledge that the challenges we face with local funding were not created by our current county leadership. If our schools had been funded above the minimum in years past, as they have been these last 2 years, I firmly believe that we would not be in the position that we are today. We're not here to point fingers, but work together toward a solution, and we ask for your continued partnership. I think we can all agree that it's concerning to note that local per pupil funding in 2010 was $40 higher per student than it is in 2025 locally. This underscores the need for sustained and increased local investment in education. Without adequate local funding, our schools cannot provide the best opportunities for students academically or through extracurriculars. We need to improve local funding to reduce overcrowded classrooms, to ensure students get the attention they need, to enhance school safety and create better learning environments, to expand extracurricular and after-school programs to support student growth and interests, to increase student access to music and fine arts, and simply to keep up with rising costs due to inflation so schools can meet student needs, which you talked about before. I also want to thank the Wicomico County Education Foundation, the Greater Salisbury Committee's 2030 Initiative, and the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce Education Network Committee for developing the Blue Ribbon Panel. to advocate for more local funding. We also recognize and thank the students, parents, school staff, and community members here tonight supporting this cause. A long-term formula-based approach has been presented to you and we stand behind it. This proposal is simple: maintenance of effort plus inflation from the previous year plus a 2% investment to continue improving our schools each year, which is what our community wants. My hope is that all speakers tonight focus their remarks in a positive and constructive way. I would choose the option, as you indicated before, where all of us get to sit down and actually go through information and data and look at historical trend data from the past and come together as community leaders from our school system, the county executive's office, the county council, and other community leaders to come together and work together to see what's best for us as we move forward as a county. Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to working together for a brighter future for our schools and certainly our students. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Gene Malone, Chairman of the Board of Education of Wicomico County. I want to recognize that we have 6 of our 7 board members here tonight. I'd like to begin my remarks by expressing my appreciation for the positive steps our county leadership has taken over the past 2 consecutive years in providing over the state mandated maintenance of effort level of funding to our schools. These funds have had a real impact in our schools and have supported our students in a number of ways, to include continuing a middle school intramural sports program the Education Foundation started, which has engaged hundreds of students in grades 6, 7, and 8 in flag football, cross country, volleyball, basketball, cheer, soccer, and track and field. Instituting multiple tiers of service, which has improved the learning environment in our schools and ensured that students receive the services they need to be successful. Hiring some additional multilingual teachers to support this fast-growing group of students, and 2 additional deputies for our schools. The fact is, our school system is growing and growing quickly. Wicomico County Public Schools, WCPS, is now the fastest-growing school system in Maryland, and our rate of growth is double that of the next fastest-growing system. We have surpassed the enrollment slump that accompanied COVID, and our total student headcount enrollment now sits at 15,582. The highest it's ever been, and nearly 500 more students than just a year ago. We're here tonight to advocate for a continued partnership with county leaders on a plan to ensure that Wicomico County Public Schools is positioned to meet the needs of a growing population. While maintenance of effort funding is designed to account for this growth, what it doesn't address is inflation. I think everyone in this room has felt the impact of inflation over the past months, from their grocery bills to their electric bill. We feel that at WCPS as well. And our request to the county includes 3% above MOE amount to address the 3% inflation that was reported in the February Consumer Price Index. In addition, we request another 2% as an investment in our schools that will go beyond the status quo and allow us to provide the opportunities Dr. Stauffer listed in his remarks. We have a great county and a great school system and great leadership. I look forward to working together so that we may continue providing the best opportunities for a successful future. And like Michelle, I would hope for option 1, but being realistic, I can certainly live with option 2. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Brian Rager, Chief Finance and Operations Officer for Wicomico County Public Schools. I'd first like to start by thanking the executive for making that clear explanation of the revenue cap. I think you're right. A lot of people don't understand what that is and how it might compare to a tax cap. And I think the more we talk about that, only good things can happen. I also want to begin my remarks by expressing my appreciation to County Executive and County Council for the 2 straight years of above MOE funding that we've seen. And if we continue that in FY26, it'll be the first time in at least the past 2 decades that the county would go above MOE for 3 consecutive years. We're also very appreciative for the support of our capital program that supports over 2 million square feet of buildings. For the current year, county government has allocated $20.5 million for the replacement Fruitland Primary School, and we look forward to breaking ground in the coming months upon the completion of an intergovernmental agreement to address forward funding of state reimbursable construction dollars. In contrast to operating funds, capital funding is an area that Wicomico County government is much closer to the state average. In fact, since 2018, Wicomico stands at 15th in this state in terms of capital funding from county government on a per-pupil basis. This positive partnership is a big reason why WCPS has a long history of providing new and renovated schools on time and on or under budget. As the executive pointed out in her comments, there was an error on a graphic that was shared last week, an error that has been corrected on the original social media post. If you go to the board's Facebook page, you'll see that correction. It was a simple typo in the graphic, and to be clear, for the current year, Wicomico County is 23rd out of 24 Maryland counties in terms of per pupil allocation to the school system. However, for FY26, if maintenance of effort funding is what is received, we would drop to 24 out of 24. I'm pleased to see that this distinction between 23rd and 24th seems to be of great importance to county leadership, and we stand ready to work together on a funding model that will keep Wicomico County out of last place. We don't share this to shame county leadership. The problem started long before they were in office. Again, we've received that above MOE for the last 2 years. But unfortunately, it is the case, and rather than try to avoid it or hide it, we prefer to partner with the community, the county executive, and the county council to work on a plan to ensure that Wicomico County continues or has the high-quality public school system it deserves and can be proud of. I appreciate the opportunity to share this information tonight. I look forward to continuing to work together to make Wicomico County a great place to live, work, and learn. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank the county executive for the opportunity to speak at this meeting. It is an honor to be here advocating for my students and everyone who works for Wicomico County Public Schools. I am Debbie Reynolds, the 2024-2025 Wicomico County Teacher of the Year. I feel it's my obligation to use this platform to bring about changes for my students, my colleagues, and my school system. I can no longer stay silent in regards to the Wicomico County government and how they are choosing to allocate funds for our school system at a maintenance of effort level. I stand here tonight to ask our county executive, a teacher peer to so many of us, to begin investing in our school system more than the bare minimum amount required by law. To me, this is personal. I'm a born and bred Wicomico Countyan. I attended Pittsville Elementary, Prince Street, Bennett Middle, Bennett High School, and got my undergraduate and graduate degrees at Salisbury University. I'm as local as they come. When I graduated from Bennett in 2010, the Wicomico County government allocated $3,623 in per pupil funding. This year, the county government allocated $3,583 per pupil, which means they are investing $40 less per student in 2025 than they did in 2010 when I was a senior. How do you feel about that? I can tell you how I feel: disheartened, discouraged, and dispirited. Out of the 24 jurisdictions in Maryland, we are almost dead last in the amount of money provided to our schools for operations by our local county government. Imagine what message this sends to the students, the teachers, and the parents in Wicomico County. It sends the message that our education system is not a priority to our local government. How can our local leaders claim to be supporters of our school system when they choose to fund our schools at one of the lowest levels in the state? It is the responsibility of the Wicomico County government to support a long-term investment to Wicomico schools so the students in our county can have a high-quality education for years to come. Imagine what extra funding could do for our public school system. Mrs. Giordano, our scholars deserve a fighting chance, and the future of their education rests in your hands, as well as the hands of the county council. You can be a champion for Wicomico schools. As a former teacher, I know you want to make a difference that will last a lifetime for the kids living in our jurisdiction. Think of the legacy you will leave when you bring education to the forefront of our budget. I want to thank you for considering the Blue Ribbon Panel's initiative and for helping better the lives of over 15,000 local students. Let's do better, Wicomico. Thank you. And I would choose option 1 or option 2.
And now we see why Deb was Teacher of the Year. That was a good one. the
Good
word.
evening. Good evening.
Yeah, look at me.
I know, right? Hi,
Long day.
my name's Ruth Baker. I'm speaking as a 30-year resident of Wicomico County, and also the parent of two boys who went through Wicomico County Public Schools K-12, now in their mid to late 20s, so it's been a little while, both doing very well, but that taught me the incredible dedication and skill and commitment of our county public school system staff, teachers. So I thank you for the presentation, the facts, the insights into the challenges that we face, which are real. Thank you for presenting that we do have options. I actually didn't know that, so I appreciate that information. I was very taken with Dr. Stauffer's presentation in the spring of 2024, some of the statistics that he cited about the Wicomico County Public School System, 60% of students in poverty. I wrote them down because I was so amazed by these facts and figures. 65% of the students at risk, 13% of the students English language learners. I know that COVID took its toll on their social adjustment, their academic progress. I know inflation's a reality. I really would like to advocate for option 2 as a taxpayer, a citizen, and a parent. I'm willing to invest more in public schools. So I want to be on record as thanking the public schools, recognizing their challenges, recognizing your challenges, but also endorsing option 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Rio.
Okay, thanks. Good evening. Steve Leonard from Tidal Health. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. And I do want to thank the group for, it was a really good presentation. Honestly, when I moved here in 2002, I was like, what is this revenue cap thing? So every additional explanation does help. So I do want to talk on maybe 2 levels, one personal, one professional, insofar as Wicomico County Schools. As the CEO of perhaps one of the larger employers of the area, I'll get to that, but maybe more personally, interestingly enough, I probably can't vote for one of these because my wife and I actually moved to Worcester County we made the decision in 2014.
Your cutoffs.
I know, yeah. But I think it's important to know why, and it was solely due to facts, situation that you have to deal with today that still remains a situation, and that's really the outcomes and quality associated with Wicomico County Schools. We chose and could afford to move to Worcester County, and that was something I know not everyone could do. So that was something for us that that was what it was. I do sit on the Wicomico County Educational Foundation because it is important to me, and even though I don't live here, it is something that when I think about representing the 5,000 team members who work for Tidal Health, I want to make sure we continue to do all that we can to support the schools. So with my Tidal Health hat on, I will tell you that I sit down and help recruit pretty much all the physicians we hire, all the senior executives, all the executives that we hire, and invariably it's a hard conversation to have ultimately, because at some point in time, kids come up, where do you live? How are the schools? And when all the facts and figures are great, I won't repeat any of those, but the MOE is not enough. I mean, in many ways, Wicomico County is competing. It's competing for intellectual resources, capital resources beyond the schools, and when people have choices, they make choices and they live elsewhere. And so I want to see the schools, not only for the team members I have, but really for improvement of the county, of the city going forward, because schools drive choices, and really driving a half an hour in any one direction is not a big deal these days. And I want to see us do better. So I would encourage you. I will not vote because it won't affect me, literally speaking, but I do think it's important. I want to take the time here to share that because I do want to see us do better, both as a school as well as a county and the city itself. So thank you very much.
Well, good evening. Appreciate those comments, by the way. Good evening, Council Executive and all the voted council members that are in the audience. My name is Ladd Colston. I'm a Wicomico County homeowner. I'm a taxpayer and a contractual business owner. My son is a graduate of Parkside High and is currently employed as a data analyst for a national professional membership organization. Learn today, lead tomorrow. Did y'all get that? I am also the host for our local chamber and foundation funded PAC 14 TV show, Education is Everybody's Business. So obviously I am a staunch supporter of funding education, and in specific, our Wicomico County Public Schools. I believe it's an investment in the growth, development, and sustainability of this county's economy, its citizens, and most importantly, its future existence. If we don't immediately invest in our county's children and schools, then you and I must prepare to face the consequences. This lack of not prioritizing county school funding will simply translate into the following. Number one, no interest from new businesses or industries to relocate here. Number two, empty newly built homes and numerous vacant homes for sale. Number three, low property values and less property tax. That's your income. Number four, more store closings and empty storefronts. Number five, increased poverty, homelessness, and crime. And six, and lastly, God forbid, a vacant ghost town of what was once considered the capital of the Eastern Shore. And we can look at downtown Main Street in Salisbury to see the change from vibrant department stores of the past to tattoo parlors in the present. Lastly, to not immediately invest in a county funding increase for education is to literally disrespect, in my eyes, God's grace. Why, you ask? We currently are blessed to have an education hub for our children here in Wicomico County. This hub is comprised of a state-of-the-art junior achievement facility, a career trade-focused community college, 2 University of Maryland system accredited colleges with graduate schools, and a major healthcare corporation in need of physicians, clinical staff, and healthcare research funding. The Wicomico County Public Schools is the primary pipeline. Your decision will dictate our county's future to prosper or to die. Your decision. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Jamie Dyke, State's Attorney. County Executive and the Council, many of the members I see here tonight. This will be a tough year. I don't know when the last toughest year, but no doubt it will be a tough year. I want to provide some context for that decision making as it touches on public safety. In Wicomico County, 2024 brought a 3-fold increase in murders over 2023. Those charged with murders in 2023 and 2024 are now pending trial. Many of those young adults and juveniles charged as adults. With the increase in violent crime, SAO resources, as our law enforcement resources, are spread more thin and more thin. The root causes of these homicides span decades. The violence is impacted by many things out of law enforcement's control. Diminishing community standards. May I put my back to you?
Yeah. You can stand up at the podium if you want.
The violence is impacted by many things out of law enforcement's control. Diminishing community standards, reduction of meaningful family involvement in children's lives. The school system sees that, no doubt. A lack of respect for authority. Authority figures' failure to hold children accountable for wrongdoing. Far too often, because the state legislature and the state administration have imposed limitations not designed with a view towards long-term health for our communities. Drug abuse, including cannabis use, people. Cannabis use is implicated in almost all of our violent crime. Increasing mental health problems and the lack of resources with which to deal with those problems, and that's just to name a few. Law enforcement and prosecutors and the public school system are left to pick up the pieces and do our darndest to keep children in the streets safe and citizens safe. We cannot do that with increased mandates without adequate resources and funding. Wicomico prosecutes 3 times more circuit court filings, generally felonies, than the next largest county on the shore. Because the nature of our crimes is so violent, we are in trial 10 times more every year, 10 times more than any other county on the shore, and the next largest county, with comparable resources. Superintendent asked for some positive news, and I'm always the bearer of not great news. But what I can tell you is the employees of this county are working hard. They are working hard to keep you safe, to keep your children safe, educated. I'm asking for support. County executive and county council. For my office's request for increase, it's a conservative request considering the challenges that we face. But I also understand I am not ignorant to all the other challenges that our communities face. And I'm hoping we can come together to resolve those. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Megan Outen, Wicomico County resident. Thank you, County Executive, for this opportunity to speak on these issues today. And here I am, sorry, King County property.
I probably did that, Megan, so.
It's okay, Jamie.
Come on, Tom.
How are we looking, Tom?
Tom, good thing you asked for that budget increase today.
I'm proving a point. There you go.
Hey, thank you.
So I'll begin again. My name is Megan Outen, lifelong Wicomico County resident. I went to Parkside High School, Bennett Middle, Fruitland Intermediate and Elementary, just to say that while I'm not directly connected to the school system, I'm an everyday resident who had the luxury of attending our Wicomico County Public Schools, and I want to make sure that they're fully funded. So I'll say this. I attend our county's budget hearings every year, and every year I hear the same thing. Our schools are struggling, our students need our support, and our teachers need our help. And yet every year I feel that somehow we're still failing to meet the moment as a county. And after 15 years of falling behind, our county now ranks last. And even with this updated information, we still are one of the lowest funded here on the lower shore. And to me, this is more than a simple policy mistake. It seems like a structural failure. And it's a failure that I wouldn't put on the county executive, but it is absolutely perpetuated by a revenue cap that has handcuffed our county and prevented us from investing in our future. We all know, and while many of us are here, education is the foundation of our economic growth and opportunity. And when we fail to invest in our education, we are failing to invest in our community's future. Wicomico County residents already face enough economic hardships. We live in a community where 38% of our residents are what the United Way classifies as asset-limited, income-restricted, ALICE households. Without proper investments in education, too many of these families will be left behind. The revenue cap has already cost us millions of dollars that should have gone to our public schools, public safety, roads, and infrastructure even. And instead, our schools are running on fumes, facing overcrowded classrooms and limited resources. And I think it's time that we face an ultimate truth that this policy is outdated, it's harmful, and it's holding our community back. The world has changed since the revenue cap was first implemented, and we cannot afford to be stuck in the past here in Wicomico. If we want Wicomico County to thrive, to attract businesses, to keep the families that we actually heard here that made a decision to not come here, we need to lift the revenue cap. We need the ability to invest in our future. And I'll say this, ending the revenue cap does not mean reckless spending. It just means We need that flexibility to meet the rising costs of education, public safety, and infrastructure, just like every other county here in Maryland has the ability to do. So I'd like to request that as the county executive continues the conversations around our county's priorities, that the county executive and the county council make sure that our schools are fully funded and to break the revenue cap that's holding us back for over 2 decades. I believe it's the time that we make the right investment in our future because our children, our educators, and our community deserve better. So thank you again, Julie.
Hello, my name is Claire Bolin and I am a 4th grade teacher here in Wicomico County with about 69 students. Well, actually 70 because I got a new one today. I'm here to discuss the issue of our per pupil fund allocation. I see firsthand every day how our resources and funds are used, and I am here to tell you that the current funding level is not enough. There is no reason that we should be ranked dead last in per pupil local funding, while our neighboring county of Worcester is ranked first at almost 4 times the amount of money per student. And like you, I also hate math, so just know this upcoming information was hard for me. We are even behind Somerset County, which is the most impoverished county in the state, yet they still found it within their budget to allocate an additional $1,000 per student above what we allocate. There are 3 more counties that are considered to be more impoverished than we are. Dorchester, who allocated $3,000 more, Baltimore at almost $6,000 more despite their increased population, and Allegheny County at almost $1,000 more. Honestly, it is disheartening to see that our students, our future, are apparently not considered to be important enough in this county. I see the meals the students eat, both at breakfast and lunch. I see the supplies that most of our students come to school with, if they're able to come to school with any supplies at all. As you know, most of their supplies comes out of my pocket. And as a teacher that teaches in a trio, that means that is 3 classes worth of supplies. Sorry, I lost my place. Most of my kids get their daily food from the school, and even then, a good portion of them are still hungry after lunch. Although we do have a program to send some food home on the weekends, what I've seen is low amounts of maybe a packet or 2 of ramen, a couple cans of vegetables. I'm not saying the school should fully fund their pantry, but it's not enough for these kids that aren't getting all of their food at home. I'm not saying any of this to shame the schools, as they're doing their absolute best with the amount they're given. I'm saying this so you, who obviously knows, but also for the county council and other citizens, know what our problems are like, and to urge you and the county council to fully fund Wicomico County Public Schools. I also want to say, before I came in here today, I did not have a good understanding of the revenue cap, but after hearing this presentation, I do feel that I can say it is not more important than our students. So if getting rid of it is what we need to do, then please get rid of it for the good of our children. And I would love option 1, but I'll pick option 2.
Good evening. My name is Julia Gore, and I am a current senior at Parkside High School, a student representative to the Wicomico County Board of Education, and most importantly, I have been a student of the Wicomico County Public School System for 13 years. I am a proud student, but if I felt that my county was receiving adequate funding and resources for education, I would not be here today. I have seen firsthand how this affects not only students, but entire schools. I hear students say they have to rush to class each day just so they can get a seat because their classrooms are so overpopulated they don't have enough chairs for everyone. Our school system is growing and we must proportionally support that. I see teachers who have to pay out of their pockets to afford supplies for class instruction, and even buy tissues with their own money, something that should be a classroom necessity. I have seen so many students, and I myself have experienced this, miss out on opportunities because we do not have the resources. Our students deserve better. They deserve learning environments where they feel supported, not limited. Our teachers deserve to focus on educating, not worrying about how they will afford basic materials. Investing in our schools is an investment in the future of Wicomico County. In stronger graduates, stronger citizens, and ultimately, a stronger community. Tonight, I urge you to prioritize education in the budget and give students the resources they need to thrive. The students of Wicomico County are hardworking, resilient, and full of potential, but without the proper support, that potential is at risk. I know that change cannot happen overnight, but with your support, we can start building a future where no student is left behind simply because there was not enough investment in their success. Thank you.
I just want to compliment everyone. You can tell that these people love education. They're coming up, they have the script and the essay, they are ready. I love it. Go ahead, sorry, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Executive Giordano, County Council members, educators, parents, and fellow students that are here today. My name is Abhiram Gadam, and I am honored to stand before you here today as the Maryland student member of the State Board of Education. And when I was elected to serve as the voice of the over 900,000 students across Maryland, I knew I had a responsibility to advocate for students in every county, every district, and every school. But tonight, I'm here first and foremost as a lifelong student of Wicomico County, attending Fruitland Elementary, or North Salisbury Elementary, Salisbury Middle, and currently Parkside High School. I'm here because this is where I grew up, where I discovered what my passions were, and where I learned what it means to be part of such a determined and resilient school community, despite the barriers we face. Now, Wicomico County Public Schools has long been underfunded compared to the other counties in Maryland, and it isn't just a statistic. It's something that my peers and I experience every day as the realities of being students in an underfunded district. We face struggles with underfunded extracurricular programs like STEM programs, music, theater, and sports that help students develop life skills, confidence, and leadership abilities, as well as overcrowded classrooms and limited class offerings that limit the opportunities that students are exposed to. And now from every month, I sit at the Maryland State Board of Education table, listening to discussions about how to improve public education across Maryland. And from this standpoint, I gain a better picture of the disparities between other school systems. And unfortunately, Wicomico County is falling further and further behind. We've heard before today that it will rank dead last in local per pupil funding compared to every other county in Maryland, and that the percentage of the county's total budget has dropped from 43% in 2006 to just 25% today. And accounting for inflation, there's other losses as well. Now, sitting at these state level meetings, I've heard education leaders emphasize how critical local funding is to school success. This isn't the position of the State Board of Education, but this is just from my experiences in that position and as a student in this county. The state provides funding, but is meant to supplement and not replace local investment. I've seen the blueprint for Maryland's future, something that is emphasized strongly across the state level, which is a plan meant to transform education in the state. But I've also seen firsthand that the blueprint funding does not cover some basic essentials, such as the cost of building new classrooms, modifying existing classrooms, hiring new staff. The blueprint focuses a lot on teachers rather than the entire educational workforce, including support staff as well. And key performance measures that the blueprint uses focuses on the minimum school funding level, which results in lower blueprint funding as well that's given to these schools. In addition, Wicomico County has 23 community schools that are the lifelines for students who rely on more than just academics to succeed. These schools help bridge gaps that are caused by poverty, housing instability, and food insecurity. And I've spoken with students and teachers from these community schools, and their message is clear that the need is growing, but the funding isn't. So today, I urge you to invest in the students of Wicomico County, and by doing that, you'll invest in everyone who's sitting here today. Thank you.
I won't touch it.
Appreciate that.
Good evening. My name is Martin Hutchison. I'm pastor of Community of Joy Church, Community Impact Manager at United Way, a 27-year resident of Wicomico County. I grew up in Talbot County in a family of educators, and the lack of script that I have in no way indicates my support for education. As soon as you said that, I thought, oh my gosh, I should have had a script. But anyways, I stand before you tonight appreciative of your presentation, I see the problem, the struggle that all sides have. It's not an easy situation that you're in. It's not an easy situation that the Board of Ed's in. It's not an easy situation that the state's attorney's in, the sheriff would be, the county roads, all of that. And then us as county residents, we expect all these services and we want all this and we don't want to pay any more in our taxes. And I sit here tonight really encouraged at the tenor of the comments and the demeanor of this meeting. It's unlike most public meetings that we've been in the last several years in our country and in our county. And so I applaud that tonight. And I am confident that in this room, if Sheriff Lewis were here and State's Attorney had stayed and all of the county council members are here, we would have all of the solutions that we need to solve this problem, that we can figure it out. And I think you helped us move in that direction. And for me as a taxpayer, and I can do it, option number 2 is my option because I believe that we should be investing in education, but I also want to invest in the other things that we expect our county to provide for us, because I have devoted my life for the last 27 years to improving the community in which I live. And I want to see it continue to improve and grow and be the best place that we can live and raise our children and just enjoy a quality of life that is not present in other places. So let us come together and work together and solve this problem. And then next year, it can be a brief presentation. Nobody comes to the microphone, and we can all go home early.
Is it okay if I hold it?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak today. My name is Dana Tyler, and I'm a student representative from James and Bennett High School. One of the most important investments we can make for the future of Wicomico County is in our schools. Students represent the future, and in order to give them the education they deserve, we must prioritize and increase our school budget. With an increased budget, we can provide more resources for teachers, improve classroom technology, and ensure our students have access to the best educational tools and opportunities. It will also allow us to expand extracurricular programs, enhance school safety, and reduce overcrowding in classrooms. By investing more in our schools, we are investing in the students. We are investing in the success of our students and ultimately in the future of our community. Let's ensure that every student in Wicomico County has the opportunity to thrive and succeed. An increased school budget is an investment in our students' potential and the future prosperity of our county. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the education of Wicomico County. Yeah, he did.
Like 10 or 11.
Yes, in middle school.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes. Oh my gosh, that means that I'm getting old too. Good to see you both.
Good evening. I'm Eileen Johnson, and I just want to have a disclaimer that I'm a WCPS employee, but I'm speaking as a parent tonight, not as a representative, as an employee. My son is in 6th grade and my daughter's in 2nd. And I want to just preface it by saying I'm in favor of option 2, and a reminder that we have the highest rainy day fund in the state, far higher than any other county in the state. We don't invest in education as a reward for good performance. We invest in education knowing that it will improve performance. The status quo is not working. For over 15 years, we've been stuck in an endless loop of failing our children and then wondering why they fail. 15 years ago, the county executive cut education by $15 million, and we still haven't gotten back to where we were then, 15 years ago. So even if we increased education investment by $1 million every year for the next 15 years, we would only get to where we were 30 years prior. It is a degradation that a child feels when they are undervalued. It is degrading to walk into a school, and please forgive my unsanitized version of what's happening. It's degrading to walk into a school, pass through the school, and exit the back door and walk into an aging trailer day after day, week after week, year after year. It's a degradation to pick through books and bins, see mouse droppings, and have to keep going. It's a degradation for teachers to put hand warmers on the thermostats in those trailers to keep the temperature from either sweltering or freezing. It's a degradation for a teacher to have to discern which items should be removed or cleaned from the classroom to protect the children from the pesticide used to spray the cockroaches for the third time this year. It's a degradation for a teacher to manage a class as large as 30 children with several high-needs special education students who do not have the resources they need. It's a degradation for those children to not have the resources they need for meaningful education because their instructors are absolutely and completely stretched thin, and the entire underclass of underpaid staff who are tasked with special education assistance are stretched thin across the school, suffering the mental and physical burnout of handling more children than is humanly possible. Please use your power to do something good for all of us. You have the power to put the revenue cap on the ballot, the county council does, with an initiative to replace it with a tax rate cap. Imagine if all the years when the county executive and the county council were squabbling were spent instead figuring out how to fix our local economy to be driven by education. Imagine all the field trips, projects, speech therapy, behavior therapy, new and permanent classrooms and actual new buildings, working buses, hands-on projects, books, special education equipment we could have flourished within that time. We have the political will in the community. Please reflect that back and do something that has the power to transform our community. Listen to the business leaders who have been asking for this for years. Listen to the parents and educators who advocate for our children. But above all, listen to the children who have no power in our county government, but whose lives rest in your hands.
Hello everyone, my name is Ruman Rizwan and I am a senior at Wicomico High School. I am here today to represent not only my school but also Wicomico County as a whole. Education is the foundation of opportunity, economic growth, and community success. Yet despite the hard work of our teachers and students, Wicomico County schools face persistent challenges: overcrowded classrooms, outdated resources, and insufficient funding for programs that prepare our students for the future. Educational investment is the best way to break cycles of poverty and create brighter futures. By increasing funding, we can improve teacher salaries to attract and retain the best educators, provide modern technology and learning materials, and also expand career and technical education programs that prepare students for their future career paths. As a daughter of tax-paying and business-owning parents, I hate to see our hard-earned money invested in places other than our education. Being SGA president also taught me that without student and teacher funding and hustling for fundraisers, our after-school extracurriculars and sports would not be as successful as they are and still have the potential to be. Having to attend other high schools for certain classes or CTE shows how we have to divide our resources between all the schools. We are so low on resources that we have to make sure we have a bus to go on a field trip due to shortage of bus drivers. At Y High, witnessing our buildings flood or the heat not working is normal, something that is definitely not normal. Hearing how other students cannot wait to leave Wicomico County or Maryland in general saddens me, as I have lived my whole life here and am going to Salisbury University. I hope we can bring many positive changes to our county that will allow students to want to stay near home. Investing in Wicomico County schools is not just about education, it's about building a thriving future for our entire state. Thank you.
Good evening. I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Evelyn Reeder, and I am the senior class president at Mardella Middle and High School, as well as SGA president. Because of this, I feel the need to represent the struggles of my community. Throughout my time as a student, the lack of funding in our county has been prevalent in my high school, and the amount of fundraising that is needed from the parents and community to make sure we have everything we need. Teachers often have to buy their own supplies so that students have the materials needed to learn. Simple items such as paper, pencils, rulers, and other office supplies are left to be sourced by the teacher out of their own pocket because they are not given a large enough budget. Additionally, the extracurricular activities such as music, arts, and sports teams rely heavily on the parent and community fundraising events. Without the countless hours of parent volunteers, we would not have the uniforms, equipment, supplies, and instruments that we need to participate in extracurricular extracurricular activities that fill the school with student participation. It is not often that we go without, but this is because of the dedication of the parents, charitable donations, and selfless teachers that provide for us. The burden of these expenses should be taken off of the families and teachers that support these costs. The growing school system needs adequate funding to create a space where students can thrive and have fulfilling opportunities. Thank you.
My name is Adam Wyndham, and I have two daughters in the school system. One's in a STEM program, and one is in special education. I'll be honest, I wasn't fully prepared for this meeting tonight, as I just found out about it, and I've been focused on multiple legislative issues at the state level. However, I'm here to express my support for the school system's budget request, with the hope that a portion of that increase goes to special education. I want to highlight something remarkable I've experienced in the school system. While it's been underfunded, the school system has achieved true inclusion for my daughter Emily. Something a much larger school district in Maryland couldn't manage to do. An inclusion that led to Emily having her first birthday party with friends. But at the same time, challenges do remain. Emily's wheelchair barely fits through her school doors because it's an old building, and the staff responsible for supporting her throughout the day barely earn minimum wage. As the state attorney pointed out, though, crime in this county has been decades in the making. If we fail to properly fund education today, that trend will only continue in the years ahead. As a balanced approach, I would have split between option 1 and option 2. Look for savings where possible to minimize the increase. Thank you.
My school more money.
Thank you, Emily.
Hi there, I'm Pam Gregory. I'm here wearing several hats. First and foremost as a mom and a county resident. Both of my daughters are Wicomico County High School graduates from 15 years ago, and also as a volunteer currently in the Wicomico County school system. And then thirdly, as wear my hat as president of United Way. So I just want to also compliment everyone for their very thoughtful and well-spoken feedback. Thank you for the very thorough and informative presentation. I think that really helped get everybody where they needed to be. I wanted to also reinforce what Megan shared about the challenges that our community is facing, what she mentioned as the Alice population, and just reinforce back to the situation that education really is, as we all know and has been explained this evening several ways, the backbone of success for our community. But having said that, I do want to make sure that we're continuing to acknowledge, as many have, that that's not the only foundation that we have. It is extremely vital and important. I am here also as a member of GSC and advocating for certainly the Blue Ribbon Panel's recommendations, but I also very much recognize as a business leader who has to also manage budgets, it can only come from somewhere, right? And so as a community member, I really appreciate the fact that you laid out several options. I think that was very, very welcoming. As a taxpayer, I would advocate honestly for option number 2, as much as I would love to see option 1 in some form or fashion. I also, as a taxpayer, realize I don't want to do it to the detriment of law enforcement. I don't want to do it to the detriment of our library. I don't want to do it to the detriment of other departments that also help support the foundation that we have in education. If our families and if our safety isn't paramount, if our infrastructure isn't paramount, then also that does feed into, unfortunately, the negative situations that sometimes families will feed into the school system, to your earlier point. So there's not a one-size-fits-all. This is a very, very complicated situation, as we've all heard. We've all been in personal and professional situations where we've had to look at budgets really difficultly and make some really, really tough choices. But I will also share that as a community member, I'm willing to invest more if that means we can get our education system where it needs to be, which is so pivotal to the foundation of a strong community, as well as continue to support the other areas that also have to make our community thrive. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Gale. I'm an employee of Wicomico County Public Schools. It is essential that our public schools be fully funded. Public school funding is directly related to recruiting and retaining a strong workforce. Public school support staff, such as nurses, instructional assistants, facilities personnel, technology experts, office staff, building service personnel, and so many others play a crucial role in providing students with the additional academic, emotional, and social support they need to succeed. A stable support staff ensures that students get consistent help, guidance, and a clean and safe learning environment throughout their educational experience. Support staff contribute to creating a positive and productive learning environment. Their presence can help manage classrooms, assist teachers, and provide resources that enhance the learning experience for students, leading to better academic outcomes. Teachers, they rely on support staff to help with many tasks, including classroom management and student engagement. When support staff are adequately recruited and retained, teachers, they can focus more on instruction, which improves student outcomes. Schools often have limited resources, and recruiting skilled support staff can help maximize those resources. With the right support staff, schools can operate more efficiently, ensuring that funds and materials are utilized effectively to benefit students. Our support staff can better relate to and meet the needs of our diverse student body. This ensures that all students see representation and receive mentorship that reflects their experiences and cultures. High turnover among support staff can disrupt the educational environment, leading to instability for our students. Retaining staff helps maintain continuity in programs and services, fostering stronger relationships and a sense of security for students. It is essential that salaries for recruiting and retaining our high-quality staff is a priority in the budget that is maintained. Effective recruiting and retaining of public school support staff are vital components of a successful educational system. The roles played by support staff significantly impact student achievement and overall school culture, making their presence and stability essential. For these reasons and so many more, the Wicomico County Public School budget must be fully funded. Thank you for your time.
Hello. I felt very compelled to come up here. I didn't plan on giving a comment, but I do appreciate all of the voices that have been heard in the room. And as a mother of 4, I have 3 children in the Wicomico County school system. I have 1 in 2 years will be my 4th child in the Wicomico County school system, and I have a very rare opportunity of all of the Board of Education people being here. I get all of the phone calls from all of the schools every Sunday. I don't know if there's a way we can, So, and then sometimes 3 phone calls for the same message. But I do think that investing in our children's future is very important. As a parent, of course, I invest into my children's as much as I can academically. It's the basis of our community. They are our future firefighters. They are our future state's attorneys. They're our future law enforcement officers, teachers, support staff. They are everything that we need, and investing in that is so very valuable. So I would like, obviously, for them to be fully funded, but I don't want to see the cuts to the other. I understand the difficult position that you're put in. So I would vote for option 2.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Well, good evening, Madam Executive. I'm Craig Mitchell, educator here in Wicomico County. I'm also a product of this county. So I've been in the classrooms where the chicken fans were the AC, our jackets gave us heat. And so I'm here tonight to fully ask for the funding of education to be done. I respect all the other departments, but being that I was a product when the environment was better, I learned better, and I'm sure the state's attorney's office would not see some of our kids because if the environment was better and updated technology, and we would be working with educators that actually wanted to be there and didn't have to come tired in the morning at 8 a.m. because they worked a second job or a third job. So a well-staffed school with experienced support personnel can ensure smoother operations, which allows teachers to focus on instruction. A well-staffed school with experienced support staff provides for better educational outcomes and more effective learning environment for students. Many support staff members provide specialized services for students. Their expertise is vital for meeting all of our students' needs, particularly those with disabilities or unique challenges. Support staff enhance student support and school resources. The retention of support staff provides an experienced workforce that can help reduce teacher burnout and turnover. When teachers have reliable support staff to assist with classroom tasks and student needs, they can focus on teaching and more likely to remain in their positions. In times of change, such educational curriculum changes, new regulations, or crises like COVID-19 pandemic, having a stable and engaged support staff helps our students adapt and respond effectively, thus providing continued instruction and fostering an environment where everyone can succeed. Support staff contribute to a positive school climate, which impacts student morale, behavior, and engagement. This fosters a sense of belonging and community within our schools that extends to the community. We must protect our students from a high turnover rate among support staff. High turnover rates not only disrupt school operations and negatively affect student experiences, but the time and training required to hire qualified staff costs the county money. Let's get it right the first time and provide salaries that will bring in the most highly qualified staff for our students. Recruiting and retaining staff are critical for maintaining long-term stability and continuity in school programs. Having a dedicated and stable group of support staff is essential for the effective functioning of public schools, directly impacting student success and ultimately the success of our community. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. I just want to thank you both for your presentation. I think it was well prepared and very informative. I do not envy either of your jobs. My name is Tori Stevens, lifelong Wicomico County resident. I've attended Wicomico County Public Schools my entire life. 4 kids, some current, some future Wicomico County students here. And I apologize, I don't have a script or anything prepared. I actually did not plan on speaking, but I did feel like within my professional capacity, I could offer maybe a unique perspective. I do have the pleasure of working at the state-of-the-art junior achievement facility. And within that, we see middle schoolers from 9 of our 23 counties. And I can tell you that I did not need that chart to tell you that our Wicomico County students are some of the lowest funded that are here in Maryland. And we do see middle schoolers, which is a subset of the population, but through that we can continually see through student behavior, teacher preparedness, the resources that students have, the size of our classrooms, so on and so forth, that our Wicomico County students just aren't as prepared as some in the county. And we know that with financial investment comes student success, and I just want to affirm that through what I see with those middle schoolers, and that those things will continue to impact the other areas of our county, as we've spoken through with the law enforcement and things like that. And so with that, I would support option 2, because like Michelle said, I think it's an investment in our students instead of looking at it as the tax. Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Eccleston, Wicomico County resident, and I also am a graduate of the Wicomico County school system. I want to thank the Madam County Executive for this presentation tonight. Councilman Holloway, Councilman Cannon, thank you for being here. And thank you to everybody that's here. This is nice to see a cordial, professional, community-loving event where everybody's respectful to each other. So kudos to everybody here in Wicomico County. I don't really want to do this every year, so I want Wicomico County to take a long-term vision. I missed my son's first lacrosse practice tonight, but I want a long-term range for Wicomico County. I'd like to put another option up there as option number 5, and we could call it growth, and more growth. New housing, new jobs, new revenue. That would be exciting, and then maybe we wouldn't have to have these conversations. The county has looked at it, in my opinion, as a cost for decades. Instead, we need to be looking at it as an investment. Investment in education, whatever chart, whatever data you want to go look at, is the single largest generation of wealth. Let me say that again. It is a single largest generation of wealth. Look at the top 2 counties in the state of Maryland, Talbot, Worcester. What do they both have? Wealth. What do they both do? Invest the most in education. Okay. The state of Maryland continually to defer their costs and push it to the county. What happens in 2 years or 3 years when the state decides that they're going to push their cost of education onto Wicomico County? That will happen. We are standing tonight in a living veteran memorial, okay? I happen to be a veteran. I'll tell you why I joined the military. Because I believed in our country, I believed in our fellow citizen, and I believed in the future of this country. I'm asking for Wicomico County, Madam County Executive, County Council members, to take a long-term vision. We need to be a top 3 school system on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank Madam County Executive, also the Finance Director, Mrs. Oland, for your candid and useful presentation. Everybody got to understand where we stand. I do not envy your position, and having your hands tied in terms of the revenue cap makes it really difficult. Couple of things. One of the things is expecting the state to fund is unrealistic given the unprecedented deficits that the state actually is confronted with. So hoping that the state would actually pick up more of the tab in the coming years is unrealistic. That's number one. But I want to compliment what has happened in Wicomico County since 2019. Between 2019 and 2024, our county has added about 16% more in employment, whereas the state has actually lost about 9.8%. So we are up about 26% and more people working in our county, which is just goes against what the state has been doing. So we are a pro-growth, pro-business county, attracting a lot of people coming to live and work here. The 4 pillars of a successful county would be infrastructure, education, public safety, and housing. We're investing in 3, but we also need to invest in education. Like I talked in last fall about the CIP when you did the capital improvement budget hearing. We could still borrow a little bit more, still keep our bond ratings high, and then be a disruptor and investor a large amount of money into education. Just, get over the gap that we have. How does it impact the low funding? We just do the bare minimum and maintenance of effort. I'll tell you. In 2019, Towson University has the Maryland Council for Economic Education. Schools, middle schools and high school students who participate in the Stock Market Challenge used to go all the way, bus up to Towson to do a training. They said, can we do it here? We said, absolutely. Post-COVID, from 22, we bring all the schools in the Eastern Shore to Salisbury University, to the finance department. We do a hands-on investment workshop. They have lunch in the Commons, and then they go back to school. Unfortunately, majority of the students who actually come to our campus come from counties outside of Wicomico, which is saddening. The students who come from Wicomico, 80% of them have never set foot on a college campus, which is disheartening because we are here to help, because it's in our self-interest that we want our students to be better educated in the school system so that they can get a world-class education and transform lives to what we do at SU. So I really want the county council members who are present here, the Board of Education members here, I thank you. Thank you everyone who actually spoke. We understand what the problems are. We need to make the pie bigger, which means we definitely have to change the revenue cap into a tax cap so that we have more tax revenue so that we can fund everything. Besides that, the income tax shouldn't be the single largest revenue source for the county. It should be the property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is James Saline from Wicomico County. First, like many others have already mentioned, I too support increased funding for our school system. Second, I want to acknowledge the significant community support shown for funding Connolly Mill Park during the November Capital Improvement Plan hearing. The hearing was held in this same building, filled with residents, and 75% of people who spoke were there in support of the park. Third, I support funding for a position in solid waste that will help with the bad litter or trash problem on our county roads. I've been active in many litter cleanup events, and there's a huge amount of trash on the roadside, in our parks, and other public spaces. My wife, Mikkel, couldn't attend tonight due to obligations for our children, but she wanted to share a few words as well, and here they are. Nothing is more important for our future than the education of our children. Prioritizing education and our funding decisions will ripple out to better all parts of our community and economy. We must give our children an environment in which they can grow and thrive. Please listen to those who work at the front lines of this most important undertaking. Listen to them and provide them with what they need to help the next generation succeed. Also, children need green space to grow and thrive. Let's continue to prioritize our parks and our recreation programs. They make an enormous impact on community health and well-being. The value and return on investment for our parks and recreation are immeasurable. Thank you.
Good evening, County Executive Giordano, County Council members, and school board members. My name is Sharon Howard, and I am an instructional aide for special ed. Fully funding public school budgets is essential to the health and vitality of Wicomico County for several reasons. Fully funding allows schools to hire and retain qualified educators, reduce class sizes, and provide ongoing learning opportunities and experiences for students, which all contribute to better educational outcomes. Our schools need sufficient funding to maintain facilities, provide up-to-date learning materials, and ensure access to technology. This is especially important in our rapidly evolving educational landscape. But without the expertise of a highly qualified workforce to implement and facilitate instruction, they are mere accessories that may go underutilized. Many students require additional support services, such as counseling, special education, programs, and after-school activities. Adequate funding to to provide competitive salaries, enable schools to offer the essential services that contribute to student well-being and success. Strong public schools lead to stronger communities. Well-educated graduates contribute to the local economy, improve civic engagement, and enhance the overall quality of life in the area. Investing in our public school system leads to greater unity and stability in our community. A well-educated workforce is crucial for attracting businesses and fostering innovation. By fully funding schools, communities invest in their future economic prosperity. Fully funding the Wicomico County Public School System budget is not just an educational issue, it's a community issue with far-reaching implications. Ensuring that our schools have the highly qualified staffing they need contributes to the overall well-being and growth of our community, shaping a more prosperous future for all. Education is foundational, whatever, you know what I mean, right? Okay. To the collective success of Wicomico County. Thank you.
Hello, Madam County Executive. Thank you so much for tonight. Thanks for the excellent presentation. When you and I spoke late Friday afternoon on behalf of the Education Foundation, GSC, and the Chamber Education Committee, I told you we were coming in peace, and the community tonight has done exactly that. There hasn't been any yelling here, has been pointed out on many occasions. I want to thank our school board folks in the back. I want to thank our council president, Councilman Holloway. I saw Josh here earlier. I love the options. By the way, I'm Mike Dunn, President and CEO of the Greater Salisbury Committee. Sorry about that. What you see tonight, and all the students are here, it's extraordinary what you've done tonight. This is how communities grow and change and thrive. Everybody in this room is so proud of you. Thank you very much. We put this blue ribbon panel together to bring thought leaders together in a good way to present a plan. Thank you for the opportunity to hear that plan. I'm not going to weigh in on an option because I'm speaking on behalf of the Greater Salisbury Committee, and I don't know what their option might be. I know what my option would be, but I'll keep that to myself. I'm going to go and thank you. You're the first county executive who has talked about the elephant in the room. That, all by itself, deserves applause. Thank you for that. The elephant in the room, we have in our GSC 2030 plan, we address the revenue cap, and all we ask for is that a blue ribbon panel, just like the one that we've assembled to come and talk to you tonight, made up of community leaders, takes a look at that public policy that was implemented more than 20 years ago and simply ask the community, is this still appropriate public policy? Could a revenue cap be replaced potentially by a tax rate cap? But we have that community conversation. I don't think it's ever happened in a formal way since it was passed by referendum 20 years ago. But I think if you're listening, and I know you are, that I think it's time to at least have a public policy discussion on that question of the revenue cap. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for informing. I think I've told you on many occasions, I don't think there's 10 people in the entire county who understand what the revenue cap is. So you've proven that tonight. Thanks for giving us the opportunity, and good luck with your decisions. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say, Mike Dunn, you kind of took my closing out of here. I was actually going to call for a blue ribbon panel because it seems that there needs to be a discussion had.
Option 5, right?
Yeah. Oh, your time was up, Mike.
Yep, all good.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name's Holly Campbell. I'm a resident of Wicomico County and also a product of Wicomico County, and attended Fruitland Primary, Fruitland Intermediate, Prince Street, Bennett Junior, Bennett High, Salisbury University. I have children in the Wicomico system as well. When I graduated college here, I could not wait to leave. I will be fully honest with you. I graduated, I became a CPA immediately. The job offers here were pretty terrible. And I had, double the job offers across the bridge. And I also had the opportunity to go to Fairfax County, which, as a young person planning a family when I was ready for that, I thought being in Fairfax County, where we have some of the best schools in the country, was very inspiring to me. I came back to Wicomico County and I now serve the real estate community, and I work in an office. I have 75 agents that I am now leading, and I can tell you that you are bleeding talent, and you are bleeding executives, and you are bleeding your workforce, because partly the school system and partly the law enforcement and the stuff that Jamie Dyke spoke about. I feel like I would offer equal support to both being in my shoes, and I could raise my hand in court and testify that I have walked into so many listing appointments, and the reason the people are moving is the schools. And I can raise my hand in court and tell you I lose people that will not move here because of what they read about crime. So like on both sides of that, if you put all my agents in this room and took a poll, you would hear this story over and over and over. And what the gentleman from Tidal Health spoke about, I could tell you that story repeatedly. I've helped physicians, I've helped executives from all of our top employers, and we fight that battle all the time. So that's very real. And so when I look at the charts and our income tax being, I think currently still larger, right, than our property tax, the importance of having those people here and them not leaving and keeping our income taxes intact. I have a settlement tomorrow, for one. The day I met with her, it was, I have a 1-year-old and I have a baby. Okay, they're pretty close together. And I will not put them in Wicomico County schools. And this is somebody who commutes across the bridge, whose husband has a business here, who's a contractor. They are leaving our county, just like many others have. And so I just want to express that and my support for whatever we have to do. The revenue cap is obviously an elephant in the room. And we've heard a lot of misinformation about why we have the revenue cap, why we have the executive, why we have the two fighting. I think I would like to see a very thoughtful and very careful study done of what this means and what this looks forward. And as I think Chris Eccleston said, a long-term projection of how this plays out. Because what I have witnessed in my couple years of coming to these meetings is a lot of knee-jerk reaction politics that I think are retaliatory and they don't make sense. And maybe that's why we have the revenue cap. I don't know, but I don't want to see that happen again. And I would like, as a finance person, when I worked for Fannie Mae, everything we did, I'm sorry I'm over my time, was a very long forecast. Like everything we did, we would project out pretty far and run a lot of scenarios and then stress test everything. I would like to see that we do that here so that we're thoughtful about what decision gets made, that it is really well thought out so that we don't come back here 10 years from now or 15 years from now and we're still digging out of this hole. Thank you.
Tom Taylor, Wicomico County, come here. I'm a product of Baltimore City Public Schools, but my son went through the Wicomico County Schools and I'm very happy with the result. However, the first important teacher in every child's life is their parents. And even though everybody in this room hates the revenue cap, it has kept $9 million in the pockets of those parents so that they can spend the money the way they need to educate their children and get their children ready for public schools. When you make it more difficult for parents who are living on the edge, like Alice families, and they have to work more to be away from their children, then it makes it more difficult for Wicomico County educational system to raise their children. So I'm saying on behalf of the people who appreciate what the revenue cap has done, it hasn't taken money from the county. It's allowed residents to hold on to a little bit more of the money and spend it the way they want to spend it. Now, listening, nobody in this room wants to cut education for the children. I think what I heard the problem was the state negotiated a pension plan and then backed out of the negotiations and left that to Wicomico County to handle. It seems to me if Wicomico County wasn't part of the negotiations to begin with, maybe that makes those negotiations null and void, and the county can renegotiate the pension plans that are costing so much money. I don't expect applause, but I'll slink back.
I'll applause you, Tom. Look it up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Julie.
How are you?
Pam. I'm Joan Smith, and I wear many hats in Wicomico County. I am a Wicomico County educator. I'm a resident of Wicomico County by choice for more than 50 years. I have 2 children who went through Wicomico County Public Schools, kindergarten through grade 12. And 1 left Wicomico County. And I'm president of the Wicomico County Education Association. And now, good evening, and good evening, neighbors, and Wicomico County Public School leaders and county council members. A fully funded public school budget allows schools to hire qualified teachers, maintain smaller class sizes, and provide essential personnel to care for our students and our school buildings, but they're separate pots of money. A fully funded budget for Wicomico County Public Schools contributes to a more effective learning environment and lifts our students, as you've seen tonight, to greater success, which will feed our county and let it grow. Full funding provides for staffing a wide range of programs, including advanced placement courses, special education, extracurricular activities, and support services like counseling and mental health initiatives. These programs are vital for students' development and well-being. Competitive salaries and benefits are critical for attracting and retaining talented educators. You yourself said this evening, Pam, that you needed to provide raises for your supporting staff within the county, as you did last year, in order to fill positions and to retain them, so we don't lose them to neighboring counties, and so that they're coming to work every day refreshed and ready to give 100%, not out having to do 2 or 3 jobs. Competitive salaries and benefits are critical for attracting and retaining talented educators. Full funding enables school districts to offer better compensation, which in turn contributes to improved educational quality. Full funding for our schools ensures that our students will receive the support and the resources that are necessary for them to be successful. Investing in education is an investment in the workforce and economy of Wicomico County. A well-educated population contributes to that economy, reducing reliance on social services and increasing those tax revenues for our community. Fully funding Wicomico County Public Schools is crucial for fostering an effective education system that benefits all students and our county. Let's break the cap and fully fund our schools for our kids and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. It is now 8 o'clock, so I'm going to take, do we have comments? Mr. Taylor, you coming in? Okay, we'll take one more.
Yeah, I'm the other.
Make a comment as well. Okay, yep.
I'm the other Taylor, not related to Tom, but we are both from the Baltimore area. Just a couple of things. Let's clear the deck about the tax cap. Killing the tax cap won't solve next year's budget, nor the year after, because that would have to be done at a referendum, and that referendum can't be held until the fall of '26. So let's get back to what we're talking about now. Now, I'm going to do option 6. I would have called it 5, but somebody already did that. There's a way we can cover this deficit we've been talking about without having to kill the tax cap. Mr. Cannon mentioned income tax revenue. We don't know what the 2024, that's last year's, budget surplus is because we still don't have the financial statements. Maybe you all have some idea, I don't. There's another thing we can do. We're one of the few counties in Maryland that does not have a property transfer tax. That could be put on, I think, this year. That would solve the problem, or at least part of it. I would guesstimate from just some numbers I've looked at over the years, that would probably bring in roughly $3.5 million. It depends on how many properties are sold. So you can't predict it totally. We can also stop the giveaways. And I'm talking about, why did we give the Ross that tax break? That's what, $250,000 a year? It adds up when you put these things together. Now, last and not least, you as the county executive can recommend the override that's allowed under state law to fund the school system. You can do that this year. Now, to me, what's the difference in doing that and not having a tax cap? For example, you could say, let's keep the rate what it is. Let's do that increment from what would be reduced by the tax cap and just put it back up to what it is this year by the override. And then these other things I've mentioned, particularly the property transfer tax, but the other things too, we can do it. So as far as I'm concerned, let's lay the tax cap killing on the ground for the time being. Personally, it sounds very good in here. Mike Dunn, yeah, he's going to rah-rah for it. He has been for years. You go to the public on this, it's not going to be the group that's in this room tonight. It's going to be the county residents. And that has about as much chance of winning in a referendum as a lead balloon does of floating. So that's how we can solve the problems immediately, and not just, let's talk about doing away with the tax cap. Let's talk about how we solve the problem this year. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, can I ask a clarification though on one of your comments real quick? Are you saying right now our tax rate is at 84 cents, so rather than dropping it to the 80, just keeping it at the 84 and not raising taxes?
Well, you'd have to do the override.
Right.
Yeah, you'd have to do the override.
Okay.
You'd have to recommend it,
Right.
and then the monkey would be on the council's back. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take two more comments. How you doing?
Good evening, Madam County Executive. I'd first like to address our student representatives. Julia, are you paying attention? These students are government, they sit next to me at these school board meetings, and I love it. And I get the opportunity to speak with them during that whole time. And if you remember, one time I told you, get your facts, just get up here and speak from your heart. You don't need a big prepared speech, just speak for what you want to speak for from here. So I came up here tonight as a school board representative, but when I got hold of this, I'm going to have to take this off because I quickly realized that I was the elephant in the room. I'm that tax cap guy who can't get his tag out of his ponytail. And so you can also be, I'm 100% behind you, and you guys know that. But you can also do other things in the county to help support your county. 20 years ago, I was behind this revenue limitation. You cannot have a revenue, you cannot have a tax cap. And somebody, I want them to research that and find out why you can't tax the county, you can't put a rate on the, a cap on your taxes. You can't do that. And y'all are gonna have to find out why. But what you can do is, I heard some people say about, they don't know the reason why. I think you did. See me, I'll tell you the reason why. Mr. Dunn, I know for years you've tried to change or get rid of this revenue limitation. And it's not, I like your blue ribbon idea because I want to hear what happens. I don't think it would be fair to ask the county, not county executive or the county council members to try to get 5 people together to get this on the ballot. I think it'd be political suicide for them. But what I can suggest is that the citizens who do want to get rid of it, and I heard some people speak out against it, is they do what we did. We started a petition, and we had to get 8,500 signatures in order to get it on the ballot for the people to vote on, not just a few people. That's my opinion number 6 after the 4 and 5. So that's yeah. So that's opinion number 6. So get the people together, find out what you want, put it on the ballot, and let all the people decide. Because like what Bob Taylor said, it's not going to be the people in this room who's going to be voting on this. It's going to be all your moms and dads and grandmoms and all like that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for giving me the last few moments, and make this short. My name is Garrett McGackey. I am a resident. I'm a father of 2 here in our public school system. I'm a teacher here at James M. Bennett High School. I originally started my career in Worcester County. I worked for Stephen Decatur High School for 13 years. And I chose to come to where I live and work because I wanted to be here with my children. I wanted to be vested in my community. Since that time, so I've been here 9 years, seen a lot of changes. It's rapid. We need the flexibility to make the changes and to invest to meet the needs of our changing community. I see it firsthand every single day, and so I'm just asking for your courage as a political leader and those in the community who have said so many strong things today. And I ask for your support for fully funding Wicomico County and making us the number 3 on the shore behind Worcester and Talbot County. Thank you.
Just to close out, I want to say thank you to everyone who came out this evening. There were really good points, I think, on both sides. And look, last November, we took a look at the county government structure. Do we need a county executive? And overwhelmingly, people voted yes. So maybe it is time to look at the revenue cap. And is it the best policy? Is it the best thing? And so I would welcome a blue ribbon panel if anybody wants to serve. I think that seems like a greater Salisbury thing. So please feel free to see Mike. And that doesn't mean that anything is changing. But we do have to figure out a way to continue funding and not just deferred maintenance on everything that we're doing. We need to stop robbing Peter to pay Paul. And Tom, one thing that you did say, and that is one of the biggest points of the revenue cap, it put $9 million in our county residents' pockets. But as I stated, those county residents are still demanding services. They still want their roads paved. They still want to be safe in their community. They still want their kids going to a good school. So while I see both sides, I do see both sides, and it puts me in a terrible predicament. Look, I mean, we got elections coming up, and everything is political, but just to be for real with you, I support education. I was a teacher for 17 years. And as I stated when I was walking around, I have been there where I'm buying the supplies for my classroom. My mom taught me, you go to yard sales, all kinds of things. I was getting crafts, all kinds of stuff, for my kids. So I get it. And so I just want to say I thank you all for coming out tonight. I am going to tell you the budget that I put forward and the decisions I make. I am not, I said it from the very beginning, I'm not your standard politician. You might have known that. I am not going to make a decision because it's popular and it's going to get me reelected. I'm going to make the decision that I feel is best for Wicomico County, or what we feel is best for Wicomico County. Whatever that looks like, whatever that is. And so we have a lot of work to do. And like I said, I appreciate everyone coming out. I'll be available afterwards if you guys have any questions in particular. If anybody wants an emailed copy, this will actually be online. What, tomorrow, Pam?
Yeah, well, this will be posted tomorrow on the county website under finance. It will be listed as public hearing for fiscal year 26. So on the county website, I think you have to go under departments, finance, and then I think budgets is the path to find it.
I might get John to put it under the executive page too. It might be less travel for everybody on the website. So anyway, thank you all. I really appreciate you coming out this evening. Have a good night.